Good morning, everyone. My name is Ancher Andal, and I am from Group 1. Or, in Economic Comparative, we are the Group 5. And our topic is all about domestic problems and policies. So, sa aming topic or aming group, itatakal namin dito ang iba't ibang problemang nararanasan in a specific or broad places. And ano ba yung mga policies na kinakailangan nating sundin upang hindi tayo magkaroon ng ganitong problema. So, in my part, I will tackle all about the poverty, growth, and income distribution. I will discuss its meaning, kung paano siya nakakaapekto sa different places here in our country or sa ibang bansa. So, the first one is the poverty. Poverty is a state or condition in which personal or a community lacks of financial resources and essential for minimum standard of living. Meaning to say that ang poverty, nararanasan siya ng isang tao or sa isang komunidad kung wala sila or they have improper housing, wala silang bahay, sa may kalsada lang sila nakatira, or maraming tao, kalimitan ay hindi nila pag-aari yung tinitirahan nila. Maaari din ang without clean water. So, sako pa rin siya ng poverty since wala silang malinis na tubig na iinom, and it is sa pamamagitan nun ay may papakita natin na isang lugar or isang tao ay nakararanas ng kahirapan. Wala ding healthy foods, and the most important is the medical attention or the education. In simple terms, the poverty is not having enough money or access to resources. Ang poverty ay, ang kahirapan ay hindi lang sa pagkakaroon ng enough na money o sapat na pera para mabili ang kanilang mga gusto, kinakailangan. Bagkus ay meron tayong different types na sinasabi kung saan mararanasan ito sa isang lugar. The first one is healthcare. Merong poverty ng isang lugar kung wala silang proper healthcare or the medical attention. The second one is the education. So sa education, mararanasan talaga ito sa isang lugar or masasabi nating nasa state sila ng poverty kung saan wala silang proper education. Gustuhin man nila, but maybe in that place wala silang school or buildings na pwedeng maging education facility, and also the water and sanitation. The second one is, alam naman natin na that poverty has different types and kinds. And because of that, matutukoy natin na hindi lang talaga sa pera nasusukat kung bakit mahirap ang isang tao or isang community. And the second one is the growth. Ano nga ba ang growth? So growth refers in an increasing size of importance or development. While it is broad term, it can broken down into specific context. So we have four specific contents kung saan makikita natin na may growth or wala ang isang tao or isang community. The first one is biological. When it terms in biological, ito sa atin, pagsamahin natin, biological and personal. So in biological and personal, makikita natin na may progress or development ang isang tao kung may pinagbago siya. Or makikita natin na, like for example, si person A ay not biologically in a state na kaya niyang gawin ang lahat or independent. But when yung mga naituro sa kanya noon ay ginagawa niya or ipinaprogress niya in her personal or his personal, ay magkakaroon siya ng growth or development. But in comes naman sa third and fourth ay ang business and economic growth. Sa business naman, magkakaroon lang ng progress or growth or development kung, kunyari ako, nagtayo ako ng isang business, ng isang maliit na business, and binigyan ko talaga siya ng focus and nag-allot ako ng time para mas mapalago o magkaroon ng growth ang aking business. So, in that term, ma-increase ko yung size ng aking facilities, ng business na meron ako, and the last one is the economic growth. So, one of the problem here in our country is the economic growth. Kasi maraming nagsasabi na mas marami pa tayong ini-import kesa inilalabas na product or ina-export na product. And within that, masasabi natin na yung lagay ng economic growth ng ating bansa ay hindi pa ganoong kataas since dapat tayo yung maraming inilalabas na products sa different places kesa sila yung nagpapasok ng mga products nila dito sa ating bansa. But in a growth or economic growth, masusukat din siya kapag meron na silang advancement in technology and yung human capital and policies nila ay nagpo-promote ng productivity. Like for example, sa Japan. So, masasabi talaga natin na economically, nag-growth sila or may progress or development since makikita natin or not physically man natin hindi makita but through social media technology makikita natin na ganun nakataas yung economic growth na meron sila dahil hindi lang human labor ang meron sila in that place. Nagkaroon na din sila ng technological advancement which yung mga robots ay in a field ng business nila ay nagagamit na din nila para sila yung magsaserve, sila yung gagawa nito, ganan. And yung human labor dun ay parang papasok na lamang kung paano i-conduct or mag-a-appear sa mga robots na yon. So, sa in terms of growth, it increase the capacity. So ano yung capacity na increase? Economic growth means an economy has an increased capacity to produce, na mag-produce ng when it terms to productivity, to produce goods and services than before. Kung ang napoproduce lang noon ay mga less 6K, ngayon naman ay masasabi nating may increased capacity or nag-growth si economy kung ang napoproduce na ngayon ay mas mataas na sa 6,000 na goods and services. So, the second one is the higher living standards. When it comes to higher living standards, um, masasabi lang natin na may growth ang isang kung may better quality. So, the last one sa akin ay an income distribution. It reveals how population's total income is shared among its members, highlighting inequalities between individual. So, sa income distribution lang naman, sinasabi lang dito yung personal circumstances, economic structure, government policies, and the labor market. So, I hope you learned about what I've tackled today sa growth, sa population or sa poverty and sa income distribution. So that's all for my part and thank you.
Good day, everyone. I'm Mike Reber and Machansa, and I'm here to talk about the population growth. So, to talk about it, let's tackle what is population growth. Growth of population. Growth of population refers to the change in the number of inhabitants of a country or territory during the specific of time, say, during the last 10 years. The population change is about changes in population composition, like age, sex structure, sex ratio, literacy rate, and occupational structure. When we talk about the growth of population, it refers to kung paano nagbabago yung or paano yumayaman ng isang populasyon o kung paano ito nag-growth sa proseso ng pagyabong nito. And napag-uusapan dito kung papaano tumataas yung age, sex, and also structure, sex ratio, and literacy rate. Napapansin din natin yung word na literacy rate, which is it talks about the how literate is the people in that population, and it talks about how education works in that population. So to continue, let's talk about the population growth pattern. So when we talk about population growth pattern, it refers to pattern of population growth in which a population start out growing slowly but grows faster. And faster the population size increases in two types of population. Growth patterns may occur depending on a specific environmental and conditions and exponential growth patterns occur in ideal unlimited environment and a logistic growth pattern occur when the environmental pressures slow the rate of growth. When we talk about exponential growth, it refers to the ideal or unlimited environment that a population that a state or population have. And and when we talk about the logistic growth pattern, it occurs the environmental pressure slows the rate of growth. So it talks about how the environmental affects or pressure the rate of growth in a population. So it's all about how a two types of condition can affect a population within a span of time and within a span of year.
Good day, everyone. My name is John Ruiz Balmes and I will discuss unemployment. But first, what is unemployment? According to the International Labor Organization, unemployed person are the people who don't have a work that are currently looking for work or available for work. Sa madaling salita, ang unemployment ay tumutukoy sa kawalan ng trabaho ng mamamayan sa isang lipunan. Bakit nga ba ito ay nagiging domestic problem? Dahil ang kawalan ng trabaho ng mga mamamayan sa isang lipunan ay nakakatulong sa pagpapababa ng ekonomiya ng isang bansa. Ano nga ba ang pinagkaiba ng unemployment sa inactive? Kapag sinabi nating unemployment, ito ang kawalan ng trabaho ng mga tao. Kapag sinabi namang inactive, ay ang mga taong walang trabaho. Kagaya na lamang ng mga retirado, mag-aaral, at ang mga taong hindi naghahanap ng trabaho. Global unemployment ay nangyari noong 2009. Dito ay ang pinakamataas na kaso ng kawalan ng trabaho ng mga mamamayan. Ito ay dahil sa financial crisis na nangyari noong 2007 to 2008. So bakit ba nakakaapekto ang financial crisis sa employment? So sa pamamagitan ng financial crisis ay bumababa ang ekonomiya ng isang bansa. So kapag mababa naman ang ekonomiya ng isang bansa, ay maaaring maapektuhan ang bilang ng trabahong kayang ibigay ng isang bansa at ang quality ng salary sa bansang ito. Mas mabilis magpabago-bago ang antas ng unemployment kaysa sa inactive dahil ito sa ekonomiya. Ang dahilan ay kapag mataas ang isang ekonomiya ay mababa ang unemployment. Dahil ang isang mataas na ekonomiya ay maaaring makapagbigay ng maraming trabaho at magandang trabaho sa mga mamamayan. Samantala, kaya hindi masyadong naapektuhan ng ekonomiya ang inactive ay dahil ang naapektuhan lang sa mga taong kabilang sa inactive o ang mga taong walang trabaho ay ang kanilang lifestyle at demographics. So sa ngayon ay patuloy na tumataas ang mga inactive person o ang mga taong hindi nagtatrabaho at hindi aktibong naghahanap ng trabaho. Ito ay naapektuhan ng kanilang demographic trends at slow economic trends. Bakit nga ba nakakaapekto ang demographic trends sa mga inactive? Dahil kapag sinabi nating demographic trends, ito ay ang pagdami ng mga matatandang tao at mga mag-aaral o ang mga taong walang kakayahang magtrabaho. Pag sinabi naman nating slow economic trends, ito ay ang pagbagal ng pagtaas ng antas ng ekonomiya ng isang bansa. So sa pamamagitan ng pagbagal na ito ay pagbagal din ng pagdami ng mga trabaho.
Unemployment versus time-related underemployment.
Hindi sa lahat ng pagkakataon na kapag mababa ang unemployment ng isang bansa ay mayroon na siyang healthy labor market. Dahil ito sa pagtaas ng underemployed o ang mga trabahong hindi angkop sa kursong tinapos at low quality job. Ito ay ang mga trabahong mababang sahod, walang benepisyo at walang stability. Isa rin sa dahilan ay ang mga taong may trabaho na gustong dagdagan ng oras ng kanilang paggawa ngunit hindi ito napapayagan. EET, sila ang mga kabataang hindi nagtatrabaho, hindi nag-aaral at hindi nagte-training. So sa pagdami ng mga kabataang ito ay sila ay maaaring dumagdag sa mga inactive person.
Noong 2018, 21% of global youth population ay nasa EET. Ito ay lubhang nakakabahala dahil maaaring mas tumaas pa ang mga taong inactive o mga taong hindi nagtatrabaho. Mas mataas ang kaso ng NEET sa mga kababaihan kaysa sa mga kalalakihan. Ito ay dahil mas marami sa mga kababaihan ang sumusunod sa traditional wife o housewife culture. Kung inyong mapapansin, malaki pa rin ang epekto ng antas ng ekonomiya ng isang bansa sa pagbaba at pagtaas ng rate ng EET. Dahil ang mayayamang ekonomiya o mayayamang bansa ay mas nakakapag-provide ng trabaho, edukasyon at training kaysa sa mga mahihirap na bansa. So, ano ba ang epekto ng pagtaas ng NEET sa unemployment? So, sa pamamagitan ng pagtaas ng rate nito, ay mas dadami ang mga inactive person at ang mga taong unemployed o ang mga taong walang trabaho.
Good day everyone, so I am Lovely Joy BS and I'm going to discuss about the rural to urban migration. So rural to urban migration is the movement of people from the countryside or villages to cities or towns. Rural migration is a reaction to some of the prevailing conditions in the rural area. So rural to urban migration is the movement of people from rural to urban. Some reason of this is yung mga tao sa rural is naghahanap sila ng better opportunity or stable job.
So there are two
for them
factors
to
of
have a
rural to
better life.
urban migration. The push factors are those conditions in the rural areas that compel people to live, while the pull factors are those things in the urban areas that attract people in the rural areas.
So there are two factors kung bakit lumilipat yung mga tao from rural to urban areas. First is to seek for a better or a stable job, for better opportunity, and because of their social conditions. So the second factor is the full factor, wherein yung mga tao is na they attempt to leave the rural from urban areas because they want to experience the cities, they want to see those buildings from the cities and to experience the experience
So there
the
are
city
causes
life
of
than the
rural to urban
province life.
migration. So the first one is lack of social amenities. Absence of social amenities like good roads, electricity, pipe-borne water, hospitals, and etc. contributes in compelling people to leave the rural areas.
So there are causes kung bakit lumilipat yung mga tao from rural to urban areas. First is the lack of social amenities. So when you say social amenities, wala silang mga magagandang daanan or mga kalsada, wala silang malinis na tubig, wala silang electricity, and also wala silang masyadong mga hospitals. Though meron silang mga hospitals, but kulang sila
So
sa
the
mga
next one is
facilities at
availability
mga
of
kagamitan.
recreational facilities in the urban areas. Many people, especially the youths, leave rural areas to cities. They can find recreational facilities like stadia, swimming pools, cinemas, amusement parks, and etc.
So the next is the availability of recreational facilities in the urban areas. So lumilipat yung mga tao from rural areas to urban areas, especially the youths, for them to experience the stadia or the sports stadiums, the swimming pools, the cinemas, and the amusement parks.
So the third one is
Masyado
higher
sa
education.
rural areas.
The need for higher education makes many people to migrate to urban areas where majority of our higher education institutions like universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education are located.
So the next is the higher education. So there are many people na lumilipat talaga from rural areas to urban areas para maghanap ng magandang education or for them to have a better education since there are rural areas.
So
wala
the
namang
fourth
mga
one is
universities
employment
and
opportunities.
colleges.
Many people move to urban areas for meaningful employment opportunities that they might not have access in rural areas.
So, the fourth one is the employment opportunities. So, marami talagang mga tao, yung mga napipilitang lumipat from rural areas to urban areas for them to have a better
So the
have a
last one is
better
marriage.
and a stable
Newly
job.
married ladies whose husbands are in urban areas leave their base in order to go and live with their husband.
So for the last one is the marriage. So lumilipat yung mga tao or the newly married from rural to urban areas. So for example, is yung babae is kinasal siya sa lalaki na taga-urban area. So yung babae is napipilitan siya na lumipat or mag-migrate sa urban area since doon nakabase yung
Consequences of
kanyang
rural
asawa
to
at
urban migration. So the first one is uneven distribution of population. The urban areas become densely populated at the expense of rural areas.
Uneven distribution of populations. So since yung mga tao from rural areas is lumilipat na sila sa urban areas for them to have a better life or better opportunity, so yung population sa urban areas is
So the next
lumalaki
is
siya than the rural
congestion.
areas.
Many urban areas are today congested as a result of mass movement of rural residents into them.
So, the next is congestion. So, since yung mga tao from rural areas is lumilipat na talaga from urban, is sumisikip na or nagiging congested na yung lungsod or city. Not because of the people na lumilipat, but because also the vehicles
So the third one is
na
increased
meron sa
house
city.
rents. More people are now chasing the few houses in urban areas, which leads to increase in rents.
So, the third one is increased house rents. So, since marami mga taong lumilipat from rural areas to urban areas, those na mga taong may-ari ng mga apartment is nagtataas sila ng mga
So the
house
fourth one
rents
is
or
escalation
upa sa
of
bahay.
unemployment. Many unemployed people reject job offers in rural areas and move to cities, thereby worsening the unemployment situation.
So, the fourth one is the escalation of unemployment. So since meron namang mga opportunities from rural, but there are mga tao talaga na mas pinipili na lumipat sa urban areas for them to have a stable or better job. Since yung mga trabaho naman sa mga rural areas is hindi ganon kataas yung sahod. So, since na-reject yung mga job from rural areas, so kahit na may nakuha silang trabaho from the cities or sa urban areas, is magkakaroon pa rin, mas tumataas pa rin yung unemployment since hindi naman napunan yung mga na-reject
Increase
nilang
in
jobs
crime
from
rate.
the rural
Many
areas.
unemployed people who move away from the rural areas to cities with the hope of getting employment take to crime when their hopes are dashed in order to keep body and soul together.
So, the last one is increase in crime rate. So, since may mga lumipat or yung mga tao from rural to urban areas is lumipat, so, for them to have or to look a better opportunity or better jobs, but hindi naman lahat ng lumilipat is nagkakaroon talaga ng magandang trabaho or nakukuha talaga sa mga magagandang kumpanya in the cities. So, since yung mga ibang hindi naman nakukuha, is wala talagang kasiguraduhan kung paano sila mabubuhay. So, ang tendency nito is gumagawa talaga sila ng mga krimen like yung mga pagnanakaw na upang masustentahan yung pang-araw-araw nilang buhay.
Hey everyone, I'm Sister B. Gonzalez. Now I tackle the equations and developments. It means they emphasize the human capital, the knowledge, skills, and ability of its people for economic growth, not just in financial and natural resources. It is argued by many development economists that more the financial and other productive resources, the human capital of country is the real determinant of growth and development. According to the development economist Hicks, the real wealth of nations lies on its peoples, not just in natural resources and the real wealth of nations. They say it is population as the right agents that apply their skills in productions, manage and enterprise, develop technology and utilize raw material for development. It means people are the most important resources of nations because they are the one who create, manage and develop everything else. Without skills and educated peoples, the money and natural resources cannot be used effectively.
kung ang Pilipinas ay mayaman sa mga iba't ibang likas na yaman, ngunit kung dahil sa edukasyon ay kulang sila sa mga educated at mga skilled na tao ay hindi pa rin uunlad. In these connections, the improvement of the quality of the populations has become the object of attentions of the politicians and economists who are convinced that the means of this and lies in great part upon education. Miller, 1984. It means the leaders and the economists focus on improving the quality of the populations, meaning they want the citizens to be more educated, skilled, and productive. It's a education is the best way to improve the people's quality of life. Sa tulong na edukasyon ay mas matutulungan nila na umunlad ang isang ekonomiya ng bansa at sa tulong din ng mga economists or mga politicians ay matutugunan nila ang mga pangangailangan ng mga tao upang matugunan ang kanilang will be the educational expansion. The years immediately following the World War II saw the rapid expansion of education in the elementary and secondary levels. In the developing countries, this was followed by the rapid growth of tertiary educations in 1950s. Thereafter, this was also true in the Philippines. The World War II, they developed in the countries or nations that were still growing economically like the Philippines. They began to expand their education systems are very quickly. In elementary and secondary schools, they grow quickly to expand their educations and to educate more students. In 1950s, the tertiary and the college universities also expanded their education. It was not until the 1970s, however, the keen emphasis was given to vocational technical education for its direct relevance to manpower needs in agriculture and industry. The education expansion in 1970s, they paid serious attention to vocational and technical educations to help to have people in training skills and needed for agriculture and industry. Kung dun sa the educational expansion ay nakatulong sa Pilipinas ng malaki. No, kung noong una, ang nag-expand lamang ay elementary and secondary levels, nasundan naman ang tertiary levels ng mga colleges and universities, at ang ngayon naman ay sa 1970s ay ang mga nagbigay silang pansin or tinugunan nila yung pangangailangan ng mga or sa TESDA. Sa TESDA ay makakatulong ito sa mga tao na nangangailangan ng trabaho na papasok sa mga agriculture, industry, farming na makakatulong sa kanila. Studies have shown that in developing countries like South Korea, Malaysia, and Taiwan in 1980s, the contributions of education was very positive and there was direct correlations between educational expansion and economic government. In 1980s, the South Korea, Taiwan, and Malaysia, the expansion of education had a strong positive effect on economic growth. Kung sa South Korea, Malaysia, at Taiwan ay nakatulong ang pag-expand or paglago ng education, sa Pilipinas naman hindi. Kasi sa Pilipinas, kapag graduate ka na, ay may hirapan ka pa rin humanap ng trabaho na nakalayon sa tinapos mong courses. Kapag sa mga South Korea, Taiwan, at Malaysia, kapag doon ka na pag nakapagtapos ka na, ay madali ka na nang makahanap ng trabaho na align sa iyong tinapos na course. Katulad na lang ng mga factories, industry, machineries na mga napasok o naka-align sa tinapos. This topic will be the economist's educations. The educational cost is not an expensive, but is an investment. The objective of education is the development of the human capital whose productivity is raised by education. The quest for increased productivity does not only involve direct outlay for the period of education. It means that when we are spent on education, when we are not buying school uniforms, paying tuitions, and paying everything else, but we are investing in skills, knowledge, and abilities that can help in future. And hindi dapat nating tingnan na ang education ay kagastusan but investment. pag nakapagtapos na tayo ay mas doble or triple pa yung makukuha natin sa ating pagpasok.
Makasaysayang umaga sa inyong lahat. I am Jasper Lopez, the next presenter. So let us move on to the agricultural transformation and rural development. Agricultural transformation is the process by which individual farms shift from highly diversified subsistence-oriented production towards more specialized productions oriented towards the market or other system of exchange. Sinasabi rito, ang pagbabagong pag-agrikultura ay ang proseso kung saan ang individual na sakahan ay lumilipat patungo sa makabagong teknolohiya. At ito ay nakatuon sa merkado o upang sistema ng palitan. Ilan sa mga pangunahing katangian nito ay ang paggamit ng teknolohiya. Ang paggamit ng makabagong teknolohiya upang mapabuti ang produksyon at kausayan. Dagdag pa rito, sa paggamit ng teknolohiya ay mas napapabilis ang produksyon ng ating mga produkto kung kaya't mas nagiging progresibo ang bawat paggamit nito. Ilan sa mga benepisyo ng pagbabago ng agrikultura o ang agricultural transformation ay ang mga sumusunod. Una sa mga benepisyo nito ay ang pagtaas ng kita. Dahil dito, ang pagbabagong pang-agrikultura ay maaaring magdulot ng pagtaas ng kita para sa mga magsasaka. Ikadalawa, pagkakaroon ng trabaho. Ang pagbabagong pang-agrikultura ay maaaring magdulot ng pagkakaroon ng trabaho sa mga rural na lugar. Patatlo, ang pagpapabuti ng kalidad ng buhay. Ang pagbabagong pang-agrikultura ay maaaring magdulot ng pagpapabuti ng kalidad ng buhay para sa mga magsasaka at kanilang mga pamilya. Dahil mayroong benepisyo, meron namang problema o hamon na kahaharapin sa pagbabago ng agrikultura o sa transformational agriculture. Una na lamang dito ay ang kawalan ng akses sa teknolohiya. Ang kawalan ng akses sa mga makabagong teknolohiya ay maaaring maging hadlang sa pagbabagong pang-agrikultura. Pangalawa, ang kawalan ng pondo. Ito ang pinaka-problema sa lahat. Ang kawalan ng pondo ay maaaring maging hadlang sa pagbabagong pang-agrikultura. At ang pinakahuli, ang pagbabago ng klima. Hindi natin pipigilan ang pagbabago ng klima. Ang pagbabago ng klima ay maaaring magdulot ng mga hamon sa pagbabagong pang-agrikultura. Dumako naman tayo sa pangalawang talakayan. So this is the dynamics of agricultural transformation. The transportation or transformation of agriculture from traditional to modern farming requires a continuous growth of productivity which will allow accumulation of capital to replace tools with small machines. Sinasabi rito na dahil sa patuloy na paglipat o pag-shift ng ating agrikultura patungo sa modern era, ay sinasabi na patuloy na paglago ng produktibo at progresibo pagdating sa mga kapital at sa mga maliliit na makina. Karagdagan pa rito, dahil nga sa patuloy nating paglago o paglipat ng ating agrikultura to modern era, ay mas nagkakaroon tayo ng kahusayan pagdating sa mga agrikultura. Kaya naman, nagiging mas progresibo ang ating agrikultura. So next we have the transformation of agriculture can be through the change of farm labor from unskilled workers to being technicians. They have to become knowledgeable in farm mechanics to be able to operate and repair machines. So sinasabi lamang dito na dahil nga nag-shift na tayo sa modern technology pagdating sa paggamit ng teknolohiya sa agrikultura, kinakailangan natin magkaroon ng kaalaman pagdating sa pagsasagawa o pag-aayos ng ating mga makinarya. Dahil nga ang ating mga machines ay nasisira rin, ay kinakailangan din na magkaroon tayo ng kaalaman kung paano nga ba natin maaayos o may sasagawa kapag nasira ang ating mga machines. Also, kung hindi natin gaano kabihasa sa pagsasagawa ng ating makinarya, ay kinakailangan natin magkaroon ng kaalaman kung paano nga ba natin may sasagawa ang nasira nating mga makinarya. Sinasabi nga dito, they have to become knowledgeable in farm mechanics to be able to operate and repair machines. So last, we have they should know the use of selected seeds, fertilizers, pesticides, control of water, administration of prescribed veterinary drugs, and provide farm sanitation and do farm bookkeeping. So sinasabi lamang dito, dahil nga tayo ay nag-shift na sa new modern era ng agricultural farming, ay kinakailangan na natin magkaroon ng kaalaman kung paano nga ba tayo magpapadaloy ng ating sakahan. Kung ikaw ay may agrikultura pagdating sa pagsasaka ng palay, kinakailangan mo magkaroon ng kaalaman kung paano nga ba tayo maglalagay ng mga buto o seeds pagdating sa ating makinarya. Karagdagan pa rito ay ang fertilizer, pesticides, control of water. So sinasabi na, paano nga ba tayo maglalagay ng mga pataba o mga fertilizer, pesticides pagdating sa mga ating sakahan. So in my conclusion for my report, sinasabi na kung tayo ay sasabay sa ibang bansa pagdating sa makabagong teknolohiya, dahil nga tayo nasa 21st century na, ay kinakailangan natin magkaroon din ng kaalaman pagdating sa mga bagay-bagay kung paano nga ba natin mapapatakbo ang ating ekonomiya pagdating sa paggamit ng iba't ibang makinarya pagdating sa paggagamit ng agrikultura. So that's all for my part. I hope you learned something. Maraming salamat po.
Good day everyone, I'm Army Almohana and I'm going to discuss about the environment and development. But first, what is environment? So when we say environment, it refers to the nature. It means the air, the water, the land, forest, and also the living things. So when we say naman development, it refers to progress. Progress like building cities, industries, roads, and also improving the living conditions of the people. So, in this topic, we will see that the more the city or the country develop, the more the environment is affected positively and negatively. So now, how population growth connects to this and why population growth and density lead to environmental problems. So, when population grows and density becomes high, so, syempre, more people need food, water, houses, jobs, and the transportation. Kung saan, mas tumataas yung pressure nito sa ating environment na nagli-lead sa urbanization kung saan more cities and infrastructure. Yon may positive side. So industrialization, positive side, more factories, but also it has negative effects kung saan yung pollution and waste. Kung saan mas maraming tao, maraming human activity na nagli-lead siya sa pollution and waste. And now, moving forward, so now we will also tackle what are the factors or effects of population growth to our environment. So the first factor is generation of waste, which the cities and industries grow, the more garbage and industrial waste are produced. Na dito yung improper waste management that causes the air, the land, and also the water pollution, which harm both the people and the nature. So we have a policy. It's about the Ecological Solid Waste Management Act, which promotes waste segregation, recycling, and proper disposal to lessen the pollution. So the second one is threat to biodiversity. So example dito is the deforestation, illegal hunting, and mining that destroy the animal habitats. It causes the loss of biodiversity and ecological imbalance. So the policy here is about the Wildlife Resources Conservation and Protection Act that protects the endangered species and also penalizes illegal wildlife trade. So the third one is strain on forest. So dito, dahil sa pag-expand ng cities, ng farms, and also infrastructures, nagre-result to ng pagpuputol ng puno and also na pagkakalbo sa mga sa forest. So nagre-result nito ng increases of flooding, removes natural carbon absorbers kung saan nagkakos ng pagguho ng lupa or landslide. So the policy here is about the reforestation and also the forestry reform code kung saan nire-regulate nito yung forest use and also it promotes tree planting and sustainable forest management. So the fourth is urbanization. So natakal na natin ito. So pag sinabing urbanization, ito yung pagpunta ng mga tao sa cities na nagkukos ng pollution, poor sanitation, and overcrowding dahil sa dami ng tao. So, urban expansion reduces the green spaces dahil pinagtatayuan ito ng mga infrastructures and buildings. And it puts pressure on our natural resources and environment. So, we have a policy about this. It is the Urban Development and Housing Act, kung saan it aims to provide planned urban development, and it also reduces slum problems. So the fifth is industrialization. So industrialization, oo, ang factories is nag-help ma-boost yung economy natin, but it releases harmful chemicals or gases that it damages our air, our water, and land. So minsan may mga industrial zones na nagkukos ng health problems kapag hindi well regulated. So we have a policy about this. The first is the Clean Air Act of 1999 and the Clean Water Act of 2004, which controls pollution from factories and nag-i-ensure na malinis na hangin at tubig ang makuha ng mga tao. So, number 6 is non-degradation. So, dito, over-farming, mining, and misuse of fertilizers na nag-e-exhaust sa land natin. And, kasi ito ay nagkukos ng erosion and flooding na nag-worsen sa mga lupa kapag hindi ito na well-regulated and na-overuse siya. So, we have a policy about this, the Soil and Water Conservation Act, na nagpo-promotes ng soil protection and also the sustainable use to prevent degradation. So the 7 is transport development. So sa transport development, it's about the transportation. So dito, more vehicles lead to high emissions of toxic gases, and transport construction damages natural habitats kasi nga nawawala yung green areas natin at pinagtatayo ng infrastructure. So dito nagre-resulto ng nag-worsen ng air quality, and it contributes to climate change. So, we have a policy about this in the Philippines, the Philippine Clean Air Act, kung saan it requires the emission testings. It promotes public transport, and it reduces the vehicle pollution. So, the number 8 is climatic change. So, human activities increase greenhouse gas emissions. And nagkakos to ng extreme weather events like floods and droughts. So, we have a policy about this, about the Climate Change Act of 2009, kung saan it creates the plans to reduce greenhouse gases, and it prepare communities for climate impacts. So, in number 9, we have productivity. So, environmental damage reduces workers' health and land fertility na nagli-lead to lower productivity and economic loss. So, we have for example, if farmers losing crops due to the soil erosion and polluted irrigation of water. So, we have a policy about this, the Philippine Green Jobs and Act of 2016, kung saan it promotes environment-friendly employment, and it supports industries that protect the nature. So, number 10 is technology. So, dito tinutukoy yung mga old and polluting technologies kung saan makikita natin sa mga factories na gumagamit pa din. And transportation, yung mga transport and vehicle natin na nagkukos ng emissions and waste. So, now, using modern era, we use cleaner technology kung saan nagsusupport ng both development and environmental protection. So, sa example dito is yung mga factories na gumagamit ng mga outdated machines na nag-i-emit pa din siya ng black smoke, and versus naman sa ngayon na modern era, the renewable energy, katulad ng solar power. So we have a policy about this, the Renewable Energy Act of 2008, kung saan ini-encourage na gumamit ng solar panels, the wind and hydro energy to replace those old and outdated na mga fossil fuels. So this topic, to sum it up, the environment and development, it shows na how human progress can both harm and also help our nature. So, through responsible policies na binanggit ko and sustainable practices na magagawa natin, so maybe our country, the Philippines, can balance the growth and the environmental protection of our nature and our country. So, that's all for my part. Again, I'm Army Almohana. I hope you learned something from me.